Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is The Mad Knives, a 5-album, 5-movie sci-fi concept project. Today is a weekly journal entry. This is TMK 007. Let's talk about where we are. We are in album and movie 1 out of 5, about halfway through, I would say. And, fully written and demoed, etc., which is really good. But some things have changed. We are now auditioning singers. That's pretty cool. So let's get into it. Hit the intro. All right, so what happened last week? Kind of a lot of stuff, actually. So I got some responses from the Berklee School of Music, which was really cool because I needed some. They posted the project up on their job board about a week ago and specifically looking for singers. So I got responses from 3 female singers. These responses caused me to push forward a little bit and create a demo site, portion of the website that is secret to all of you, but contains the working demos. And as a result of these responses and the demo site, we actually have auditions underway for the co-pilot specifically, which is kind of amazing. Somebody right now has the tracks and is going to do a little bit of test recording for the vocal part of the co-pilot. So cool. Huge progress. First time that's happened. I also made a proof of concept video, number 2. And you may remember from last week, I laughed because I didn't show you the first one. And unfortunately, I'm also not going to show you this one. But they are really, really good test videos that are giving me some insight into the pacing and everything. And the second one was for the song Come On Out to Space, which is the very first song of the album. I also did a little bit of copyright work, which is annoying legal nonsense, but I felt really happy to get that done, feeling a little more protected than I was last week. And outreach again, although this is getting a little tricky and I keep having to pivot, so we'll talk about that a little more in the next section here. Oh, speaking of the next section, I think it's my favorite part of the weekly journals. Let's turn the page here to feelings. All right, so feelings. What did I feel about everything I just described happening last week? Well, for starters, I learned that when you're doing a new thing with a new email address, you need to check your spam folder all the time, because 2 of those Berklee responses were just sitting in my spam folder for like 24 hours before I found them. Made me feel like a real amateur. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was, like I just mentioned with the outreach, we're trying to change it a little bit because I'm having a problem finding male singers. And it's a interesting problem. The couple that have responded on Instagram were pretty quick to respond, but not really following up necessarily. So there's something about my pitch or my explanation that's not really working. So feelings. Hard to find male singers, at least for me right now. I think I just need to adjust something about my outreach. I'm trying to think about it like a marketing campaign or something, and remember that it could be my message isn't quite hitting for some reason. It could be I'm not looking in the right places. Could be all kinds of things. So I'm going to try to work on that, because so far most of the responses I'm getting are from female singers, and I need 2 male singers for the thing. So feeling inept at that part of my outreach at the moment. So the next couple are a little more ethereal. This has hit me pretty hard a lot lately. I'm learning from past mistakes, but these mistakes happened 20 years ago. So if you'll indulge me, when I was living in Minneapolis and I was maybe like 22 or 23 years old, something like that, I was in a band that was really important to me. And we were working on our second album and we were trying really hard to make a very good album. We spent lots and lots of time in the rehearsal space, writing and arranging and pre-producing and really just getting everything together so the performance on the record could be as good as it could be. And then we were, just a bunch of sort of broke young people. So we saved up all the money we could to go to a really nice studio in Minneapolis and get the rhythm tracks, like 16 mics on the drums, if I remember right, and, thousands of dollars worth of microphones and signal path that we didn't have access to, to own. So we were just like really, really focused on the art of the album, like the actual artistry of making the music, the craft, and coming out with something that sounded really, really good. And when we got done with it, we were really happy with it. Like, at least I remember thinking, this sounds amazing. At the time, it was the best thing we had ever done, and really like a great representation of our skills at that time in our lives. But the thing that happened is we didn't sell any of them. Like, we didn't sell any of them. Nobody heard them. Nobody found out about it. The band didn't do well. And it became obvious a few years later that the problem was we were just entirely focused on the art and not thinking about the business aspect of it at all. Because who wants to think about the business aspect of any of this when you're a 22-year-old rock and roll artist? Like, that's not what we were trying to do. We were trying to live the life, not sell records. So as a result, the whole thing, I mean, I don't want to say failed, but like, if the goal was to turn it into any type of a business or a life that we could have, it totally failed because we only paid attention to maybe half of what we needed to do. It's like, when you hear about how much it takes a Hollywood movie studio to make a movie, and then you learn about what their marketing budget was, and you realize that generally they spend like just as much marketing as they spent on the actual piece of art, and sometimes more. So I'm trying to learn from that lesson that I've actually learned, had visited upon me many times in my life as a musician, because it is way more fun to focus on the art than it is to focus on the business. But it leads you nowhere. And my goal is, like, if you've been following this project, it's a large project and there is a lot of art to make. So if my goal is to make 5 albums and 5 movies and really get through all of this, I need to do a good job with the business part to support it. So I'm trying to keep that in mind. And that's really been on my brain this week as I've been doing this outreach and auditioning singers and stuff. Like, I'm building a marketing funnel, even just to make the art. And my hope is that as I practice it and get better at it and bringing in these collaborators and sort of like creating some amount of excitement about the project, that those same skills will transfer to the point when the art product is done and it's time to actually market it and push it and try to make it go somewhere. So I'm keeping that in mind throughout all of this, and just really thinking that I can do better than I have in the past, and I must. So as part of this mindset, I've noticed also that growing up is so dumb. You just feel like such a dummy for the way you felt when you were younger. So I'm learning to I have written down that I'm learning to surf uncertainty. Give me a pass on that spelling. Because as you go along in a project like this, many, many things are uncertain, and whatever you learned about the thing you just did and feel like because you just learned it, it sort of doesn't matter because the very next thing is brand new and you're not going to know how to do that. I mean, I certainly don't, not to, the royal you. Like, the next thing that's coming around the bend is probably going to be something that I'm uncertain about, and I'm just going to have to be comfortable with that. There is uncertainty. I'm doing all kinds of things I've never done before. And the part that made me feel dumb about this is that realization that I have to live in uncertainty in order to push this forward, that's making me understand some of my old bosses. Like, in my square jobs, the people I worked for at the office job. When I was younger, I couldn't figure out how they were comfortable just barreling ahead without a system or a plan, and with the details all, sort of vague and not quite understood. And now I understand you have to go. It's not like they chose that. It's not like they chose to be comfortable in uncertainty all the time with one of the things that was most important to their life. It's a bravery that I don't think I acknowledged when I was younger. And it just, seeing parts of your past through a different lens makes you feel a little silly sometimes. But as a result, now I'm trying to think back to all of the behaviors that when I was young, I thought were crazy, and see them from a different angle and frankly, do them. So now I'm trying to learn how to do things that I used to think were insane. Getting older, man. Okay, so what's next? What's next is getting better every week. So we're continuing auditioning singers and looking for other artists. So as a reminder, I need singers and visual artists. 2 male singers, 2 female singers. I've talked about it a lot. You probably know what's up at this point. And visual artists for storyboarding these videos in a way that makes it so I can eventually get them animated. If you're interested in collaborating, you can check out the website, themadknives.com. You can get me on Instagram at themadknives, or you can DM me or comment here wherever you're seeing this video. The other thing that is next that I'm really excited about is the new deep dive. I just filmed it, and I think this series is going to come out really good. We're going to start doing a story series. So the deep dives for the next 10 weeks are going to be a story series about each of the 10 songs, and I'm walking through the plot of the story, even more in depth than the story circle video that we did last week. We're going song by song, talking about what's going to happen to the Mad Knives as the story goes by. So the first one is the first song, Come On Out to Space, and that is out now. So go check that video out, Come On Out to Space. I walked through the first song and what's happening in the story. So I'm actually starting to tell the story. I'm excited about it. I think you guys will like it too. That is it for this week's journal entry. That was a lot to talk about, but a lot of things have been on my mind. So stay tuned, hang out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.